The business tower stood tall in the center of Riverstone City with glass walls that reflected the morning light and clean marble floors that echoed with quiet footsteps. Every day before sunrise, the building came alive in a slow, careful way as lights turned on one by one and machines hummed softly in the distance. Most people believed success lived inside these walls, but very few noticed the people who kept the place standing. Daniel arrived before anyone else. He entered through the side door with a small bag on his shoulder and a calm look on his face. His uniform was simple and clean, and his shoes showed signs of long hours of work. He pushed a cleaning cart through the empty hallways, moving slowly and carefully as if the building belonged to him. Daniel worked with focus and respect, touching every corner with care. Daniel was known as the Black Janitor of the building. That was how most people described him. Not by his name. Not by his character. Just by his job and his skin. Many workers passed him daily without greeting. Some avoided eye contact. Others spoke to him only when they needed something done quickly. There were moments when Daniel heard quiet laughter behind his back. There were moments when he was blamed for problems he did not cause. There were moments when people spoke over him as if he was part of the furniture. Daniel never argued. He never complained. He simply nodded and continued working. Inside Daniel lived a deep silence shaped by years of observing people. He watched how they treated others when they believed power protected them. He noticed who showed respect without reward. He remembered every small act of kindness and every moment of disrespect. One morning the building doors opened earlier than usual. A woman stepped inside holding a folder and a cup of coffee. Her name was Maria. She had recently joined the company in a management role and was still learning the culture of the workplace. She walked with confidence, but her eyes were observant and thoughtful. As Maria waited near the elevator, she noticed Daniel cleaning near the entrance. She saw how carefully he worked and how he straightened a chair someone had pushed aside. She watched as 3 employees walked past him laughing loudly. One of them made a comment that caused Daniel to pause for a brief moment. Maria felt a tight feeling in her chest. She turned and spoke clearly and firmly. She said that everyone in the building deserved respect and that such behavior was not acceptable. Her voice was calm but strong, and the hallway fell quiet. The employees looked shocked and uncomfortable. They walked away without responding. The sound of their footsteps faded into silence. Daniel slowly looked up. His eyes showed surprise mixed with something deeper. He thanked Maria quietly and returned to his work. Maria smiled and told him that kindness mattered and that work was work no matter the title. Daniel nodded and said nothing more. But inside him something shifted. For the rest of the day Maria could not stop thinking about that moment. She noticed how often Daniel was ignored. She noticed how few people spoke to him like a human. She wondered how long he had lived like that. Days passed and Maria arrived early more often. She greeted Daniel each morning. Sometimes they exchanged a few words about the weather or the day ahead. Daniel listened more than he spoke. When he did speak, his words were careful and thoughtful. Maria learned that Daniel never rushed his work. He believed small things showed character. A clean corner. A straight chair. A quiet greeting. One afternoon Maria saw a supervisor blaming Daniel for a spill that had happened hours after he left that floor. Maria stepped in without hesitation. She calmly explained the timeline and defended Daniel with facts. The supervisor walked away embarrassed. Daniel thanked her later. He said that no one had spoken up for him before. Maria replied that respect should never be rare. What Maria did not know was that Daniel lived a life very different from what people believed. Years earlier he had built a successful investment business using patience and discipline. He had grown wealthy quietly and stepped away from the spotlight. After experiencing false relationships and shallow intentions, he chose a different path. Daniel took the janitor job to observe the world without filters. He wanted to see who people truly were when no reward was expected. He wanted to meet someone who valued character over status. Each day Maria continued to treat him with the same respect. She never asked questions about his past. She never assumed anything about his future. She simply saw him as a person. Daniel noticed this. He noticed how she treated everyone the same. He noticed how she listened. He noticed how she stood up for others without fear. The building continued its busy routine. Meetings filled rooms. Deals were discussed. Promotions were planned. But beneath all of it, something quiet was forming. Daniel was no longer invisible to Maria. And Maria was becoming impossible to ignore for Daniel. This was only the beginning. Life inside the Riverstone building continued with its usual rhythm as days passed and routines stayed the same. Employees rushed through hallways with phones in hand and papers under their arms while conversations about deadlines and targets filled the air. Meetings came and went and people talked endlessly about success, yet very few noticed the quiet man who kept everything clean and orderly. Daniel continued arriving early every morning. He cleaned the floors, wiped the glass doors, and arranged the furniture with care. His movements were steady and calm. He never rushed even when people walked around him impatiently. He believed good work deserved time and attention. Maria noticed this more and more. She saw how Daniel treated his work as something meaningful. She saw how he fixed small things without being asked and how he helped others silently. When someone dropped papers, he picked them up. When a chair was broken, he reported it gently. He never demanded praise. One morning Maria brought an extra cup of coffee. She offered it to Daniel with a small smile. Daniel hesitated but accepted politely. He thanked her and said it was kind of her. Maria replied that everyone deserved kindness, especially early in the morning. Their conversations slowly became longer. They talked about simple things like favorite foods, quiet places in the city, and how mornings felt different from evenings. Daniel spoke softly and chose his words carefully. Maria listened with interest and respect. Daniel learned that Maria grew up in a modest home. She worked hard to reach her position and never forgot where she came from. She believed respect was not something people earned through money or titles but through actions. Maria learned that Daniel valued peace and honesty. He enjoyed simple routines and disliked noise and unnecessary attention. He spoke about observing people and learning from their behavior without judging them openly. At work, not everyone appreciated Maria's attitude. Some colleagues whispered that she cared too much about people below her level. Others said she was wasting time talking to staff who did not matter. Maria ignored these comments and continued treating everyone equally. One afternoon, a group of executives visited the building. The atmosphere changed instantly. Managers straightened their posture and assistants rushed around nervously. Daniel was instructed to stay out of sight and focus only on cleaning the back areas. Daniel followed instructions calmly, but Maria noticed. She felt uncomfortable seeing how people were hidden away when important guests arrived. She believed everyone should be seen and respected regardless of the situation. Later that day, Maria found Daniel cleaning near the storage rooms. She asked how he felt. Daniel smiled gently and said he was used to it. He said some people only respected others when it benefited them. Maria felt sadness hearing that. She told Daniel that the building would not function without people like him. Daniel thanked her again but said words mattered less than actions. That night Daniel returned to his small apartment. It was clean, simple, and quiet. He cooked a basic meal and sat by the window looking at the city lights. He thought about Maria and the way she treated him without knowing anything about his past or his wealth. Daniel remembered past relationships where people changed once they learned about his success. He remembered how conversations shifted toward expectations and demands. He remembered feeling alone despite being surrounded by people. Maria was different. She expected nothing from him. She never asked questions about his life beyond what he shared freely. She never looked at him with curiosity driven by status. The next weeks brought challenges at work. Tensions grew between departments and pressure increased. Stress made people short-tempered and impatient. Daniel experienced more moments of disrespect during this time. One day a manager spoke harshly to Daniel in front of others, accusing him of poor work without evidence. The words were loud and dismissive. Several people watched silently. Maria stepped forward immediately. She calmly questioned the accusation and asked for proof. She explained that Daniel's work record was consistent and reliable. The manager backed down, embarrassed and angry. Afterward, Daniel thanked Maria quietly. He told her she did not need to risk her reputation for him. Maria replied that silence in the face of wrong behavior was worse than risk. Daniel felt something shift deeper inside him. He realized Maria was not kind for attention or praise. She acted from belief. Unknown to everyone, Daniel had been observing more than behavior. He had been observing values. He kept mental notes of people's actions and reactions. He saw who changed under pressure and who remained steady. Maria remained steady. As weeks passed, Daniel found himself looking forward to their brief conversations. He found comfort in her presence. He felt seen not for what he appeared to be, but for who he was. Maria also felt something growing. She admired Daniel's patience and quiet strength. She admired his ability to stay calm in difficult moments. She admired how he treated everyone with dignity even when he received none in return. The building remained busy and loud, but something quiet continued to grow beneath the surface. A connection based on respect, trust, and sincerity. Neither of them spoke of it yet. Neither of them rushed it. They both believed that real things took time. And somewhere behind Daniel's calm eyes a decision was slowly forming. The atmosphere inside the Riverstone building began to change as an important announcement spread quietly through the offices. A major partnership meeting was scheduled and powerful guests were expected to arrive. People spoke in hushed voices and schedules were adjusted. Tension filled the air like static. Maria was informed that she would attend the event as part of the management team. She prepared carefully, choosing simple professional clothing and reviewing notes late into the night. She wanted to represent herself with confidence and honesty. Daniel also knew about the event. He heard supervisors discussing it and noticed how nervous everyone seemed. As usual, he arrived early and focused on his work. He cleaned the main hall, polished the glass walls, and arranged the seating area perfectly. That morning, several staff members reminded Daniel to stay away from the main floor during the meeting. They told him to focus on back areas and avoid being seen by guests. Daniel listened calmly and nodded. Maria noticed this again. She felt uneasy watching how people were pushed aside when important figures arrived. She wanted to say something, but the day moved quickly. The meeting began in the late afternoon. The main hall filled with executives, investors, and senior leaders. Voices lowered and smiles became controlled. Everyone waited for the final guest to arrive. Suddenly the doors opened and silence spread across the room. A tall man entered wearing a tailored suit with calm confidence. His posture was strong and his presence commanded attention. Conversations stopped and people straightened instantly. Maria looked up and froze. It was Daniel. For a moment her mind refused to accept it. She watched him walk forward, shaking hands and greeting people with ease. His voice was steady and confident. He introduced himself as the founder of a major investment firm partnering with the company. Whispers spread quickly. Eyes widened. Respect filled every glance. Maria felt her heart race. She remembered the quiet janitor who cleaned floors and drank coffee with her in the mornings. She remembered the man who listened more than he spoke. Daniel's eyes met hers briefly. There was no surprise in his expression. Only calm understanding. The meeting continued with presentations and discussions, but Maria struggled to focus. Her thoughts raced as memories replayed in her mind. Every moment they shared now carried new meaning. After the meeting ended, people gathered around Daniel, eager to speak with him. Compliments flowed freely. Praise filled the air. Maria watched quietly from a distance. Later, Daniel found her near the window overlooking the city. He approached slowly and spoke softly. He said he never intended to deceive her. He explained that he chose a simple role to observe people without filters. He wanted to understand character without the influence of money or status. Maria listened silently. She felt surprised but not angry. She asked why he stayed quiet with her. Daniel replied that she never asked questions that demanded answers. She treated him with respect without expectation. That mattered more than honesty forced too early. Maria took a deep breath. She told him she felt confused but also proud. She said she never helped him because she thought he was important. She helped because it felt right. Daniel smiled gently. He said that was exactly what he hoped to find. Over the next few days the building buzzed with talk about Daniel. People who once ignored him now praised him openly. Apologies came quickly. Smiles became forced and polite. Daniel accepted greetings calmly. He never mentioned the past. He never reminded anyone of their behavior. His silence spoke louder than words. Maria noticed the change clearly. She saw how people treated Daniel differently now. She felt uncomfortable watching respect appear only after status was revealed. One afternoon Maria and Daniel spoke again privately. Maria shared her feelings honestly. She said it hurt to see how quickly people changed. She said she feared losing the simple connection they had. Daniel listened carefully. He told her that the connection did not change for him. He said her kindness had nothing to do with who he was publicly. That was why it mattered. Daniel explained that he was searching not just for love, but for partnership built on trust and values. He said he needed someone who saw him as human before anything else. Maria felt emotional hearing this. She realized Daniel had been alone in ways she never imagined. She realized his silence carried weight, not emptiness. Days passed, and their conversations deepened. They spoke about life beliefs and dreams. They spoke about fairness and responsibility. They spoke about how power should be used carefully. Maria saw Daniel not as a hidden figure anymore, but as a man who chose humility over attention. Daniel saw Maria not just as a kind employee, but as someone with strength and courage. The building returned to its routine, but the energy was different. Respect slowly became more genuine. People became more careful with their words. Daniel continued observing, but now with clearer purpose. Maria continued being herself without fear. Something meaningful had shifted. The truth was out, but the journey was only beginning. The days after the big meeting felt different inside the Riverstone building, as if the walls themselves had learned something important. People walked more carefully and spoke with softer tones. The memory of surprise still lived in every corner. Daniel no longer wore the janitor uniform, but he did not change his routine completely. He still arrived early and walked through the building quietly. He observed the environment not as a test anymore, but as a responsibility. Maria noticed that Daniel did not act proud or distant after revealing his true position. He greeted people the same way and listened with the same patience. This consistency impressed her more than his success. Many employees tried to apologize to Daniel. Some spoke sincerely while others seemed nervous. Daniel accepted apologies calmly without judging anyone. He believed growth mattered more than guilt. Maria watched these moments carefully. She realized how rare it was to see power used with humility. She admired how Daniel chose calm actions instead of strong words. One evening Daniel invited Maria to talk outside the office. They walked along the river near the building as city lights reflected on the water. The air was calm and peaceful. Daniel spoke honestly about his past. He shared how success brought attention, but also loneliness. He explained how many people treated him differently once they learned about his wealth. He said it made trust difficult. Maria listened closely. She shared her own experiences of working hard and feeling unseen at times. She told him she valued sincerity more than comfort. Their conversation flowed naturally. There was no pressure or confusion. Only understanding. Over the following weeks Daniel spent more time in the office as a partner. He participated in meetings and decisions. He focused on creating a fair environment where every role was valued. Maria supported him openly. She helped guide cultural changes within the company. Together they encouraged respect and accountability. Employees slowly adapted. Conversations became more thoughtful. People greeted staff members by name. The building felt more human. Daniel never forgot why he came there. He remembered the early mornings and quiet hallways. He remembered being ignored. These memories guided his leadership. Maria continued treating everyone the same. She never used her connection with Daniel for advantage. Her actions stayed consistent. One afternoon Daniel publicly acknowledged Maria during a company gathering. He thanked her for standing up when it was not easy. He spoke about integrity and courage. The room grew silent as people listened. Many felt reflection rise within them. Maria felt emotional but stayed composed. She knew she did what felt right and expected nothing in return. As time passed, Daniel and Maria grew closer naturally. Their connection was built on shared values and respect. There was no rush and no performance. They supported each other through challenges. They learned from each other. Their bond strengthened quietly. The story of the black janitor turned partner spread beyond the building. People spoke about character and humility. The message traveled further than any announcement. Daniel knew he had found what he was searching for. Not just a partner in life, but a partner in purpose. Maria knew she had met someone who valued her heart more than her position. In the end, the building stood taller not because of wealth or power, but because of the values shaping its foundation. Respect became a habit, not a reward. And two people who met in silence created change through simple human decency. The story ended not with celebration, but with quiet understanding. That was enough.